February 10th, 9:39 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 1. Und damit BAM, Leute! Mit Enthusiasmus diesmal. Und herzlich willkommen zurück zu Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations. Und zwar zum letzten Trial in dieser Serie. Das letzte Mal, dass wir vielleicht in der Lobby Number 1 stehen. Vielleicht später noch in der Intermission, ne, zwischen den Parts vielleicht nochmal, wer weiß. Aber, ne, das ist der letzte Fall. Die letzte Station. Maya ist immer noch eingeknaschtet im Cave. Ne? Die friert sich den Arsch ab. Und wir müssen den Mörder von Elise Adonim finden. Und haben einiges in Erfahrung gebracht, was ich natürlich jetzt aufzählen könnte alles, weil es definitiv nicht schon alles wieder eine lange Zeit her ist. Aber ich denke, ihr seid ja schlau, ne? Ich muss das nicht aufzählen alles, ne?
Good morning. Oh, are you by yourself?
Morning, Pearls.
Mr. Nick, please tell me what's going to happen to Mystic Maya.
I'm sorry, we don't know yet. The investigation is still going on, so I wasn't allowed to the inner temple.
Oh, I see. So is Sister Iris there trying to remove those 3 clocks in the training hall?
Guck mal, Pearls übernimmt das Ganze, ne? Die erzählt uns alles, was wir brauchen. No, she's the defendant in this case, so she can't be at the inner temple. True, das ist ein bisschen blöd. Aber gut. She's required to be here in court.
Then how come she's not here in the defendant's lobby?
Stimmt, ne? Sie ist ja unsere Defendant. Habe ich total vergessen. Ja, wir defenden Iris. Die Mystic Elise, wie man sie nennt, ja, sie ist ja der Master, die Mutter von Maya, nur weiß sie das leider noch nicht, die ja Mystic Elise umgebracht haben sollte, was sie aber nicht getan hat natürlich, also, ist ja unsere Defendant. Niemand, den wir verteidigen, hat jemals was Böses getan, außer halt, ja gut, der eine halt, ne, ja. I have to admit, it's kinda strange. If you're looking for Iris, she's in the prosecutor's lobby. Edgeworth? Yes, my boy. Edgeworth. What's Iris doing over there? She's going over today's testimony with the prosecutor as we speak. Today's testimony? You heard me? Iris is going to be testifying as a witness for the prosecution. Wait, what? Also, ist das erlaubt? Müssen wir da nicht zustimmen? Also, ja gut, dann cheatet ihr halt, ne? The prosecutor is squeezing her for a confession, or so I heard. Franziska von Karma, what are you up to? Ne, ist doch Godot, ist doch der Prosecutor. Nicht? Hat's doch geheißen? I mean, ja, Franziska war letztes Mal, aber es hieß doch, Godot übernimmt wieder. I know what you're thinking, but Franziska isn't going to be the prosecutor today. Ja, eben. What? Then who is? Who else would it be but Godot? Godot? Franziska is engaged in some important work at the Sacred Cavern.
The Sacred Cavern? You don't mean that she's...
Exactly. She has been out there all night trying to remove those trick locks.
Oh, thank you.
The head nun's assistants, naturally. We estimate that the last of the locks should be taken care of in about 3 hours. I hope everything continues to go smoothly and we receive some good news soon. Yeah, thanks, Edgeworth. Prosecutor Godot intends to nail this case shut today. Natürlich, als ob wir keine Unterbrechung haben. Wobei, ja doch, Stimmt, es ist today. Wir haben nur kurze Pausen. Es wird ja nicht auf einen anderen Tag verschoben immer. Gut, sorry, my bad. I'm prepared to fight like there's no tomorrow. You have to tell me that. Touché. I can already see it in your eyes. You're not the same fever-ridden, frantic maniac you were yesterday. It's strange. On the way here, I decided that today would be the end of all this. Almost immediately after I made that decision, I felt myself getting stronger. Interesting. Maybe you've passed your cold on to someone else, literally. And with that, I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, partner. He's a smirk. Thanks. Still don't have answers for most of the riddles plaguing this case. The circumstances around the murder of Miss Elise Stoneham. No, I mean Miss Misty Fay. The impossible flight Larry claims to have seen. And what that woman is really after. Genau, sie hat ja den Masterplan entwickelt für Pearly. I will solve them all and bring this whole tragedy to an end. Yes, we will. Punkt 10 Uhr AM. Vormittag. District Court. Courtroom Number 7. Da stehen sie. Und er auch. Mit seinem glorreichen Bart, wie immer. Prächtig, schön, elegant. Eleganto. Court is now in session for the trial of Iris of Hasakura Temple. Your Honor? What are you... Wait, what? Who, me? Well, my little brother came to visit me in my chambers early this morning. All of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, he developed a scorching fever and fainted. Achso, das ist gar nicht der Judge. Er sieht halt genau gleich aus. Okay. Therefore, I'll be standing in for him. I see, Your Honor. So they're brothers. That explains a lot. Really? My poor brother. He looked a bit pale, not to mention sad that he couldn't be here. It is impossible to predict what the future has in store for any of us. Muss ich mal ein bisschen in Schwung kommen mit Godot's Stimme. Ist ein bisschen weird. This is precisely why people feel the need to judge the past. And we of the court have been charged with the solemn duty of passing such judgment. Well said, Mr. Godot. I understood exactly what you said, at least up until the end anyway. Now then, Mr. Godot, please proceed with your opening statement. Humans are fragile, fickle beings. Our hearts change with the shifting of the tides. There is only one thing that remains a constant in this crazy world. The bitter darkness that lies at the bottom of this muck. So, then you mean, forget it. What do you mean? During yesterday's trial, the accused refused to admit her role in the crime. But today, she has had a change of heart. Sister Iris of Hasakura Temple has a confession to make. Confession? The defendant? So gut, dass wir da überhaupt nichts, ne? Einzuwenden haben. Iris, why didn't she discuss this with me first? Ja, same. Und überhaupt, is that legal? Very well. Apparently it is. This court will now hear the defendant's confession. Ah, lass mal hören. Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules.
My name is Iris. I am but a simple nun undergoing training at Hasakura Temple.
Witness, is there something that you want to confess to?
Yes, but first I want to apologize to Mr. Wright. I can't continue lying to everyone anymore.
It's alright, what is it?
Mr. Wright, I have to admit that I did play a part in this terrible incident.
Are you actually confessing? Are you saying that you were the one who murdered Mr. Lee Stoneham?
No, I'm not, Your Honor. But I dealt with the cover-up after the murder took place. After her spirit left, I took the lifeless shell of Mr. Gillies and carried it to the Hasakura Temple courtyard where I desecrated it.
What? Ordered into court, order! Witness, are you saying that you were an accomplice to the murder?
Yes, that's correct.
What? What? 3 minutes in court and I'm already covered in a cold sweat. Huh. Everyone on the planet is an accomplice to something. Just happens to be that in this case, it's to murder. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? That could do. So this is the confession they were conferring about. Pains me to say this. But it looks like Iris's testimony was all a lie. Achso, das... Ah, ja, okay. Iris' testimony crumbled up and shoved into a pocket. Brutal. Now then, little lady, if you don't mind, I've got a question for you. Whose crime were you trying to cover up by your actions? Iris was covering for someone? No, I'm definitely up the creek if I had a paddle or a life jacket.
I've been at Hasakura Temple ever since I was a little girl. Hasakura Temple is run by one of the branch families of the Korean tradition. One of our missions is to protect the main family.
I'm sorry, but main family?
Yes, and that's why I would dirty myself, if need be, to protect her. The daughter of the master of the Korean channeling technique, Mystic Maya Fey.
Huh? I don't like the direction this is going. Wake up and smell the coffee, Wright. She's naming Maya? Order in the court! So not only did you witness the murder, you know the name of the murderer?
I'm terribly sorry, but it's true. I saw her commit the crime with my very own eyes. And then I cleaned up the area to try to protect her.
That's ridiculous. Maya could never... Defense will refrain from commenting until the appropriate time. Now, witness, let's hear your testimony. What exactly happened on the night of the crime?
Yes, Your Honor.
I thought I was prepared for the unexpected. I never imagined the case would wind up going in this direction. Also das, was Godot uns schon versucht hat vorzuwarnen, dass Maya da vielleicht eine dreckige Rolle hat. The real murderer.
I went to the inner temple that night and I saw it all happen in the garden. I saw Mystic Elise strike Mystic Maya with her staff.
Okay.
While Mystic Maya was still stumbling, Mystic Elise moved in to deliver a fatal strike.
Wait, what? Ist jetzt Elise der Mörder?
Mystic Maya tried desperately to defend herself and stole the weapon. It was only in self-defense. You can't blame her for it.
Okay. So it wasn't self-defense?
Yes, Mystic Elise was the one who attacked first. That's why I tried my best to protect Mystic Maya.
You moved the victim's body to the inner temple so that Maya wouldn't be suspected. Isn't that right? Not bad. You've got the instincts of a true criminal. Something's not quite right. I'm sure it was established yesterday that Iris never went to the inner temple that night. Ja. Das hat sie uns ja theoretisch ins Gesicht gesagt, ne? Ganz, ganz früher, zu Beginn des Falls. Dass sie ja im Main-Tempel quasi geblieben ist, die ganze Zeit. Und da kann es ja nicht gelogen haben wegen den Cyclops, weil sonst hätte es ja Cyclops gegeben. And that the person who did go was that woman. Mal kurz was gucken, was wir hier alles noch haben. Genau, ja. Crime-Foto, ja, okay, das. Track-Foto, ja, das, genau. Genau. Right. Iris even admitted it.
Now then, Mr. Wright, please proceed with your cross-examination.
Will do. And I saw it all happen in the garden. Now did you? Sister Iris, your testimony has changed quite a bit since yesterday. You stated yesterday that on the night of the murder you didn't go to the inner temple.
Did she now? Too bad for you. What you said yesterday doesn't mean much today. By the way, where were you when she claimed that she didn't go?
It was in the inner temple's training hall.
Private conversation between the two of you does not constitute testimony. That would be properly described as...
Ich weiß nicht, wie man das ausspricht.
Hearsay? What do you have to say, witness?
I just couldn't tell him the truth at that time. Mystic Maya, she's your girlfriend, isn't she?
Wait, what?
I didn't want to be the one to break it to you that I saw her commit murder.
There, we all understand how difficult this is for you. Now then, let's continue with the testimony. What did you witness in the temple garden?
Well, Your Honor...
Strike with her staff. Ah ja, wir haben ja noch rausgefunden, der Staff, also der Stab, der hat ein Messer eingebaut. Ne? Also man kann den Stab quasi ausziehen und dann kommt eine Klinge raus. Und ich weiß noch, da haben wir mit Gamschuh abgemacht, dass das zwischen uns bleibt. Ne? Also ich habe das Gefühl, die wird jetzt hier gleich irgendwas rausplaudern, was sie vielleicht gar nicht weiß, eventuell. You're saying that the victim attacked Miss Faye?
Yes, it was a truly frightening scene. Mystic Maya was struck hard on the head and looked like she was going to collapse.
What were you doing at the time? Why didn't you stop them from fighting?
I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Wright. I was frightened. I couldn't move. I couldn't even speak. I was in such shock.
That's perfectly understandable, my dear.
This doesn't sound right. I don't believe this testimony for a minute.
What happened after that?
While Maya was still stumbling, Elise moved in to deliver a fatal strike. Okay, ich glaube, ich hab ein Gefühl... Ich weiß, was ich machen muss. She moved in to deliver a fatal strike.
Yes, I'm sure of it. She threw down her staff and reached into her robe for a weapon.
Wait a minute, what was this weapon?
It was some kind of dagger.
A dagger, huh? And Elise Stoneham tried to stab her with this weapon. To kill Miss Faye.
Yes, exactly.
Huh. You look like I
did after I mistakenly took a swing of Worcestershire Sauce. Worcester. Ich glaube, ich kenne die Soße sogar. Ich glaube, die ist ziemlich eklig, oder? Aber der Satz macht irgendwie keinen Sinn, glaube ich. You look like I... Ach, you look like I did. Okay, ja, okay, alles klar. You have a problem with the testimony we're hearing from our client, lawyer boy? You have a problem with Iris' testimony? Ja, habe ich. Your Honor, I have a small problem with the witness's testimony. You do? But this witness is your own client. Yes, well, nevertheless. That's fine. Witness, let's add your last statement to the testimony.
Yes, sir.
Hey, just a moment. It's my job to say that. Listen, Gramps, I won't say it again. Final judgment will be rendered by me. Okay, now, let's continue. You threw her staff away and pulled a dagger from inside her robe. And that is bullshit. Sorry. Strong language. Aber das braucht sie ja gar nicht, weil ihr Stab ist die Waffe. Ne? Da würde ich mal sagen, Hals Maul. Sister Iris. Shut the... there's something strange about your version of events. Huh? Miss Stoneham throwing her staff away makes no sense at all to me.
But all you can do if a staff is hit someone.
Naturally, you wouldn't notice, Sister Iris, but the victim's staff had a special feature about it. As you can see, it's a sword.
Ah.
If Elise Stoneham really had wanted to kill Maya Fey, she wouldn't have needed to use a separate dagger, not when she already had a beautiful blade in her hands already. Well, Sister Iris, what do you have to say?
I...
That was an impressive bit of investigating, Wright. I never would have thought there was a sword hidden in that staff. But even so, how should I put this? It makes no difference, right? A long sword is unwieldy and thus quite ineffective in close quarters combat. Ach so, oder das. Ich dachte halt, ja gut, dann hat sie halt das Schwert genommen, dann hat halt Maya ihr das Schwert abgenommen. Also dreht ja an den Events nix, ne? Maybe that's why she chose a dagger over her blade. Well... Anyway, the type of weapon she chose to use isn't what's important. The important thing is that she tried to kill Maya Fey. As long as there's nothing strange about that, there's no problem with her testimony. But there is something strange about his whole testimony. Well, Mr. Wright, the prosecution has a point. Very well, Your Honor. The defense will now present evidence to back its argument.
Mr. Wright.
I have here another piece of evidence that shows that this testimony can't be trusted. Because Miss Elise Stoneham would never attempt to take the life of Maya Fey. Ach so, ja, weil sie halt ihre Mutter ist. Haben wir das hier irgendwo? Steht das bei ihr? Wo ist sie? Da. Mayas Mother. Ich würde sagen, wir präsentieren einfach ihr Profil. Elise Stoneham would never have attacked Maya Fey.
How can you be so sure?
Because the victim's real name was not Elise Stoneham. Her real name was Misty Fey.
Fey? Ah, no. Not Misty Fey.
Who is this Misty Fey? Is she related to... Misty Fey is the master of the crane channeling technique. She is also the mother of Maya Fey. Are you serious?
Is it really true, Mr. Wright? Was Elise Stoneham actually the great mystic Misty?
There's no doubt about it. Looks like Iris had no idea.
I can hardly believe it.
The idea that she would try to kill her only daughter, one she hadn't seen in 17 years. Perhaps the prosecution can offer some explanation for why she would do such a thing.
Order in the court. Upon first hearing the witness's testimony, it seemed natural enough. However, in light of some facts that have just been presented, one, that the victim supposedly threw away a sword during a fight, and two, that the two people battling to death were mother and daughter. Despite the facts being believable when taken on their own, when taken together, the entire story seems difficult to believe. Listen, there is nothing in the world that is impossible, except for one little thing. Yes, what is this one little impossible thing? Still don't get it. You think maybe my beans are on the roasted, but you have no idea, Gramps.
Could you get to your point?
I heard this witness's confession this morning, just as I had taken the first sip of my 8th cup of morning coffee. Going to ruin your health, my friend. Anyway, after hearing this woman's confession, I had a detective who loves to investigate sent to the scene of the crime. And he discovered this little beauty. Is that a dagger the witness testified to seeing? Obviously, Your Honor. But do you not notice something else? Now that you mention it, if you look closely, there appears to be blood on it.
Where did you find that? I didn't see that when I investigated the crime scene.
Did you investigate the pine tree at the crime scene?
Huh? The pine tree? What's that pine tree? Ist das der komische Baum da am Pine Tree? Okay.
His dagger was stuck in the backside of the pine tree. And the last blow was struck, ending the violent battle between the two women. His little baby was thrown in the direction of the back of the pine tree. Which means the blood on his dagger belongs to the victim, correct? Are you listening, old man? I first heard this confession this morning, just as I had taken the first sip of my 13th cup of morning coffee.
You say it was your 8th just a few minutes ago?
I didn't have enough time to get the blood analyzed on such short notice. In any case, the court will accept the dagger as evidence. Furthermore, I ordered that the blood test be performed on it immediately. This is my sweetheart. Make sure you treat her right. Bailiff, get this piece of evidence to the crime lab for testing immediately.
Dagger found behind a tree in the inner temple garden. The blood is being analyzed now.
Alrighty. Now then, the testimony we've just heard had numerous unbelievable aspects to it. However, after having found the very dagger the witness spoke of, I believe we can consider her testimony to be credible.
Leider.
Cute girls never lie. Ever. In any case, witness, if you could please testify again to this court.
About what, Your Honor?
About the incident you saw, the battle between the two women.
Yes, Your Honor.
The battle.
Mystic Maya stumbled briefly after being hit over the head with the staff, but then she dodged Mystic Elise's next attack and stole her weapon.
kriege sogar ein Bild. Alright. Okay.
Suddenly, Mystic Elise was the one on the defensive with her back to the stone lantern. That's when Mystic Maya stabbed Mystic Elise.
Aber warum ist denn... Hä, aber das macht doch keinen Sinn. Maya ist doch in der Höhle eingesperrt. Die kann doch nicht raus.
Mystic Elise managed to fling the knife away, but then she collapsed.
That's a very heartbreaking story.
I don't know if there were any bad feelings between them, but it had been 17 years since Mystic Misty's disappearance. Perhaps they simply didn't recognize each other anymore.
Also die Mutter wird ja wohl ihr Kind noch erkennen. Verständlich wird Maya die Mutter nicht erkennen, weil sie war ja noch, ne, also vor 17 Jahren, da war sie ja noch in den Windeln.
That seemed reasonable. Now then, Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination.
Und vor allem kennt sie ja ihren Namen. Also wir haben uns ja vorgestellt. Mystic Maya stumbled briefly after being hit over the head. Ja, okay, von mir aus. Then she dodged and stole her weapon. Okay, fine. Suddenly, Elise was the one on the defensive. With the back on to the stone lantern. Okay. That's a Mystic Maya stabbed Mystic Elise. Und wir kriegen das Bild wieder. Das muss doch irgendwas zu bedeuten haben, oder? Stab Mystic Elise. Mystic Elise managed to fling the knife away, but then she collapsed. Press mal hier, weil wir hier extra ein Bild bekommen. Are you absolutely certain that's what you saw?
Yes, I'm almost certain.
Almost.
The garden was dark. I couldn't really tell who was who.
What did you just say? So in other words, it could have been someone else entirely.
We know that Maya Fey was at the inner temple that night.
Yeah, imprisoned.
And that the woman that was killed was Elise Donem.
Oder war sie da... War sie da noch nicht... War sie erst nachher eingesperrt? I don't know. Maybe. I guess. Ist nicht unmöglich. Okay, ja, vielleicht, ja, okay.
That the woman that was killed was Elise Donem. Isn't that fairly obvious who attacked who?
I don't have anything to counter that yet.
Well then, witness, please continue with your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, what? Aber wir kriegen noch mehr. Ups, ich dachte, das wäre wie das Testimony.
Then Mystic Maya rushed straight into Mystic Elise. Then Mystic Elise doubled over and fell to the ground.
So she was stabbed in the stomach, huh?
Yes.
Okay. She collapsed. Where did that dagger go?
I have no idea. It was dark and I couldn't see.
According to the detective who found the dagger, it was stuck into the pine tree in the garden. Most likely it was flung towards the tree after the struggle. That's the most likely explanation, yes.
After being stabbed in the stomach, did the victim collapse right away?
Now that I think of it, she seemed to stare at Mystic Maya for a while, and Mystic Maya stood there, not moving an inch. It felt for a moment like time had just stopped. But then suddenly, as if the spell had worn off, Mystic Elise fell over.
Seems like a reasonable story at first, but there's one thing that's completely impossible. The very idea of Maya stabbing someone. That alone is impossible, which means this faulty testimony must contain another contradiction in it somewhere. Iris, where were you standing when you witnessed all this?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, if either one of them had noticed you, they might not have continued their battle.
I wonder if that's true. The two of them, they were standing near the god stone lantern. I was watching the whole thing from behind. It was dark there, where the two of them were, so I think that's why they didn't see me.
It was dark in the garden when the murder took place. Tell me, what did Miss Maya Fey do after she was struck?
She dodged Miss next attack and stole her weapon. What happened to the victim's staff then?
I'm not sure. The area was very dark, so I really couldn't see. I think it got knocked away somewhere as the fight escalated.
That makes sense. I would explain the need for the dagger.
Mystic Elise raised the dagger to strike, but Mystic Maya dodged it on the last second. The dagger struck the lantern and fell to the ground. And then at some point Mystic Maya picked it up.
Nothing sounds especially strange yet.
What did the victim do when the weapon was stolen from her?
You're saying that Maya Fey turned the tables on the victim?
Yes. But Mystic Maya wasn't herself at the time. After all, her life was in danger.
I still can't believe it. The idea of Maya concerning someone at knife point is just silly.
As they say, a cornered fox is more dangerous than a jackal.
I believe the correct description of a cornered fox is scared and petrified.
Your animal analogies have grown tiresome.
You were the one who started it.
Anyway, so after Maya Fey backed the victim into the stone lantern, what happened next?
Okay, also wir haben alles jetzt, ne? Ich bin auch der Meinung, das Bild ist sus. Ja. Das ist sus. Also die Tatsache, dass wir ein Bild kriegen. Im Testimony. That's when Mystic Maya stabbed Mystic Elise. Kann ich denn hier nochmal ein paar Sachen angucken? Haben wir den Autopsy Report eigentlich? Da. Loss of blood from stab. Das ist ein typischer Fall. Stab in the back. Ist wir das hier oder? Wahrscheinlich, ne? Yeah, refer back to the stone lantern. Okay, that's when. Okay. Yeah, I would say this is BS. My dear friend. Something about you just isn't right today, Iris. Huh? Until now, I didn't think you were the type to make such a careless mistake. However, the testimony you just gave contains quite a few contradictions.
Well, what do you mean? What's so wrong about my testimony?
According to you, Maya Fey stabbed the victim while she had her back to the stone lantern, correct?
Yes, that's right.
But in that case, the victim would have been stabbed in the stomach, right?
Yes, I think so.
But, according to the autopsy report, which is outdated, my honor, no. The cause of death was due to blood loss from a stab wound in her back. Ah! This proves that the victim was stabbed from behind, not from the front. Sister Iris, it appears another seed of doubt has sprouted from your testimony.
Ah!
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? It's simple. People are like books. We've all got the front and back. You get my drift?
No.
Is that all you have to say? You can also say that darkness loves to play with the human mind.
Can you please knock it out with the cheesy proverbs and illogical metaphors already? The point is, too much of this testimony just doesn't make sense. Throwing away useful stuff, the people fighting being mother and daughter, and now she falsely claims the victim was stabbed in the stomach.
There certainly are some inconsistencies.
Well, Iris, how about it?
Well, it's just...
If you ask me, you're just being too naive about the whole thing.
What do you mean? Can't you hear the music? I'm right!
There are 253 distinct types of bitterness in coffee, but to pick out each one requires total concentration and the use of all the senses. Were you really concentrating on what this witness actually said? Prosecutor Godot, explain yourself! The witness was quite unambiguous about her own ambiguities when she said that the garden was dark and she couldn't see clearly.
Yeah?
Human needs one thing to see clearly, and that is light. Light, Yagami? By the way, did you know Hazakura has a rule that on nights when an acolyte is at inner temple training, the stone lantern in the garden must be kept lit.
I did wonder what that stone lantern was there for.
Well, if that's true, should the witness have been able to see the crime more clearly? Normally, yes, Your Honor, but according to the head nun, Sister Bikini, on the night of the crime it was impossible to light the stone lantern.
Impossible?
It hadn't been used in a long time, and the wick was no good. In other words, it had to have been nearly pitch black in the garden that night. There could have been faint light coming from the training hall, but that's all. Most enlightening. Yes, that illuminating fact has chased all the contradictions away. If the staff was dropped, it would be difficult to see. That also explains why they didn't recognize each other. You can't see the demons that lurk in the night. That's why humans are weak. Isn't that right, trite?
No.
Order, order, order! Here, Your Honor, let me present the stone lantern into evidence. Maybe it will rekindle the flame of truth in your mind.
Er hat einfach die Stone Lantern wieder in den Gerichtssaal genommen. Einmal aus der Hosentasche gezogen. A lantern from the inner temple garden was not lit the night of the crime. Why is the judge just sitting there with that look on his face?
What's wrong, Your Honor? Was that flame too hot? This lantern, there's something written on it. Why, it's written in blood.
Oh boy. The judge didn't know about that yet.
Written in blood. It says Maya upside down. What the?
Oh, yes, it's right. After being cornered and then stabbed by Mystic Maya, Mystic Elise didn't fall down right away. She must have been riding that on the stone lantern behind her, with the blood that was draining out of her body.
Certainly looks that way. Hang on just a minute. What are you all talking about?
What do you mean? What are we all talking about? We're talking about the message written in blood.
Nonsense. His lantern, it's as clean as a whistle.
Could it be? He can't see the bloody writing at all? Now that I think of it, he did say something to me yesterday.
My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with those huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything.
So that's what he meant by that. Also, er kann kein Rot sehen, oder wie?
In any case, this is obviously an important clue. We now know that the crime scene was dark, and that the victim scrawled this message on the stone lantern. Well, Mr. Godot, anything further?
Er scheint nicht so happy zu sein mit dem. Obwohl es ja eigentlich dafür spricht, ne? Also für sein Testimony hier, ne?
Mr. Godot? Okay then. Let's move on.
Godot is literally shaking, and somehow I don't think it's from caffeine overdose.
I believe it has now been established that Miss Stoneham was killed by Maya Fey.
That's just wrong.
Now it's time to turn our attention to you.
Yes, sir.
After the victim died, you did something, didn't you? Let's hear it. We're all ears.
Sister Iris's cover-up.
After Mystic Elise died, I called out to Mystic Maya. I thought it was my duty to protect the future master of the Crane tradition. So I moved the body from the inner temple by myself. I dragged it behind me all the way across Tusky Bridge, and used his snowmobile to carry it back to Hasakura Temple and...
War die Brücke da schon zerstört?
I used the Shichishito to alter the way the wound looked.
So you moved the body?
Yes, I was raised at the Hasakura Temple. I owe a great deal of thanks to the Fey clan, but even so, I never imagined that Elise Stoneham was actually Misty Fey. I've committed a terrible sin.
A terrible trick of fate.
Well, if you're looking for a twist of fate, Your Honor.
I intended to return to the inner temple after taking care of the body, but...
You were spotted by the head nun, correct?
Yes, and that's why I couldn't go back.
Story makes sense, I suppose. Mr. Wright, go ahead with your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Was war nochmal der Weather Report? Lightning struck Tusky Bridge. Viertel vor 11. Wann ich sie nochmal? Das wissen wir nicht, ne? Die genaue Uhrzeit. Okay. After Elise died, I called out to Mystic Maya. So you waited until everything was over before making a move?
No, it's not like that.
She saw someone murdered right in front of her eyes. It's not surprising she was a little timid. Yes, I suppose that's true. Sometimes when I'm watching lawyers argue back and forth with each other, I feel so helpless that I just sit quietly and wait for them to reach a conclusion.
Isn't it your job as the judge to meditate the argument?
It wasn't until Mystic Maya saw me that it finally dawned on her what she had done.
My duty to protect the future master of the Korean tradition. Ja, von mir aus. Remove the body from the inner temple by myself. Why did you do that?
Because I didn't want Mystic Maya to be suspected in any way. I thought the best thing would be to remove the body from the crime scene.
Warum hast du dann nicht den einfach in den Fluss geworfen? Das wäre doch viel easier gewesen. Er hätte niemanden gefunden.
You moved her body all by yourself.
Yes, I did. It would have been impossible if it wasn't for the snow.
Snow, huh? Snow. Phoenix ist am Überlegen. Also Snow war ja auch bis Viertel vor 11 oder 10 vor 11. Und scheinbar war das vor dem Blitzeinschlag, ne? Also da gab es tatsächlich Schnee, ne? Jo. Drag it behind me all the way across Dusky Bridge. It's pretty amazing you could make it all the way across. That's a rickety old bridge.
It looks worse than it is. It's surprisingly sturdy, despite its age.
It's like they say, idiots are too stupid to catch even a simple cold.
But there's one other thing that bothers me. Well, just throw the body into the Eagle River. Ja, ne? Da guckst du blöd. Would have been much easier than dragging it all the way to Asakura Temple.
I thought that it would still cast too much suspicion on Mystic Maya. That's why I tried to take the body as far away as possible.
Makes perfect sense to me. For the time being. Anyway, what did you do after you crossed the bridge?
Use the snowmobile to carry it back to Asakura Temple and... The snowmobile! I knew that would show up sooner or later.
Yes, I had a key. I used the snowmobile to travel from Asakura Temple to Dusky Bridge.
This is the part that was in question the other day. Should I ask for more details? Absolutely. About the snowmobile, about the tracks. Das klingt interessant. If you really did move her body by snowmobile, then there should be tracks left in the snow, right?
Well, yes, naturally you would expect tracks.
These pictures... This picture was presented at yesterday's trial. Are these the tracks from that ride?
Yes, I think they are.
But I can only see one set of tracks here.
I don't see what's so strange about that. Snow was still falling when I left Asakura Temple.
Moment. Snow was still falling when I left Asakura Temple. Ja. Aber nachher auch. Der Snow hat aufgehört zu fallen, nachdem der Blitz eingeschlagen hat. Das heißt... Achso, warte. Ja doch. Das heißt, damit die Tracks sichtbar sind, wie hier in dem Foto, muss das bedeuten, dass sie nach dem Blitzeinschlag die Tracks gemacht hat, ne? Weil nach dem Blitzeinschlag hat es nicht mehr geschneit. Das ergibt ja dann irgendwie keinen Sinn, oder? Weil sie kann ja nicht beim Blitzeinschlag über die Brücke.
And then, when the murder took place, it had already stopped.
Das stimmt aber nicht. Ja, aber ja gut, dann When the murder took place, it had stopped. Ja, das ist schön, aber dann ist die Brücke im Arsch.
That's why there are such fresh-looking tracks.
Yeah, you got it, Judge. You figured it out.
How about it, Mr. Wright? What do you think about his testimony?
It's very important. When the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. That doesn't make sense if you stack it up against the other evidence. Your Honor, I'd like the statement Iris just made added to the testimony.
But does it have something to do with the case?
All will be made clear if you allow her statement to be added to the record.
Huh. This should be fun. Let's get this snow business cleared up, shall we?
Yes, sir.
By the time the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. Und jetzt präsentieren wir den Weather Report, oder? Aha, sie ist über die Brücke geflogen, als sie gebrannt hat. Naja, jetzt kommt's. Ja, I guess Weather Report? Nö. Okay. Okay, wir machen erstmal den hier. There have been a lot of contradictions in your testimony so far. This time, are you sure it's all true?
Yes, I am.
When the murder happened, the snow had already stopped. According to you, that's why the snowmobile tracks were so clear.
That's right, I'm certain of it.
I think I've trapped her this time.
I see how you think. Snow, huh? What's going on here?
If the snow really had stopped by the time of the murder, it would mean there's a bigger hole in her story than the movie The Great Revelations. Kenn ich nicht?
Huh. Well then, Mr. Wright, perhaps you'd like to share your theory with us? Let's see what's up your sleeve, or rather, at the end of your index finger.
I want to believe it, but I don't think my logic is failing me. Iris is trying to pin the murder on Maya. But why would she do that? There's only one reason I can think of. Müssen wir vielleicht... Okay, warte. Wir haben ja kein Beweisstück von der Brücke, ne? Ich guck nochmal durch. Außer die Weather Data. Ich könnte jetzt Sketch, aber eher nicht. Ja, hups, jetzt habe ich irgendwas... Wobei, vielleicht, genau das wollte ich eigentlich. Ich wollte nochmal das Statement mit der Brücke nochmal pressen, weil vielleicht erzählt Phoenix jetzt ja da, hey, die Brücke ist eigentlich tot, ne? It's pretty amazing you could make our way across a regular bridge. Yeah, it looks worse than it is, but its age. Yeah. Ah, but there's one other thing that bothers me. Ah, no, okay, das war das.
Ja, aber, hä?
Behind me all the way across Dusky Bridge. Dann mache ich das mal. Aber ich glaube nicht. By the time the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. Ach so, warte, hier. Okay, warte, ich habe ja beim letzten Statement presented. Ich präsente mal die Weather Data hier, weil das ist ja falsch, ne? I dragged it behind me all the way across Dusky Bridge. Okay, ich musste erst die Info rausprügeln aus ihr. Und jetzt kann ich mir der Weather die Brücke contradicten. Alles klar. You claimed that the snow had already stopped when the murder occurred. But I'm sorry, Iris, that just isn't possible.
What?
This is the weather data from the night of the murder. According to this, the snow didn't stop until 10:50 p.m. But you couldn't have crossed Dusky Bridge at that time.
Why do you say that?
Because 5 minutes before the snow stopped, Dusky Bridge was struck by lightning and had caught on fire.
But what did you say? The bridge, it was on fire?
Wait, das wusstest du nicht? Hä? Wait, what? Was? Also du hast die Brücke ja gesehen nachher. Die war total im Arsch. Oh, okay.
You don't mean to say you didn't know about it? It was because of that lightning strike that the bridge burned down.
What? But it can't be.
Looks like you still haven't figured it out, no matter how hard you try to deceive or conceal the truth. You can't pull the wool over the eyes of a real defense attorney.
No.
Order!
The bridge was already on fire when the incident took place. That's right, the inner temple was already totally cut off from the outside world. There was no way you could have crossed the bridge, body or no body.
Witness, even my patience has its limits. Any further lying and I will find you in contempt of court. Do you have anything to say for yourself? The only person here that is truly contemptible is you. Old man. Me? How dare you? Whether this witness lied or not doesn't mean squat right now.
Squat?
The important thing now is to find out the truth. Isn't that right? Yes, of course, but whether it was snowing or not snowing, or whether the bridge was burning or not, there are two facts that can't be disputed. First, the body of Elise Donim was discovered in the Hasakar Temple courtyard. And second, they had none, Sister Bikini. Witnessed Iris desecrating Elise Donim's body.
He makes a good point on both accounts.
That's right. I'm not lying.
What are you claiming this time?
I wasn't myself at all that night, so my memory is still somewhat hazy.
You have stood at that witness stand and testified this entire time. Are you telling us now that your memory of that night is hazy?
It's only human to err. You're so perfect, Wright. Maybe you can explain this for the court.
What is it?
When the murder happened, the bridge had already burned down. But somehow the body traveled across the bridge and was found in a temple courtyard. Perhaps you have some kind of explanation, a perfect explanation for this little magic trick.
Well, not exactly, no. I know there must be some other way she got across that burnt out bridge. Larry's magische Zeichnung. But unless I can somehow demonstrate it, we'll never know the truth.
Looks like the defense is not prepared to offer a suitable explanation. See what I mean? In other words, you're in no position to suggest that this lady's testimony isn't the truth.
Hold it!
Alright then, witness, let's hear your testimony once more.
About what, Your Honor?
You've admitted that you moved the victim's body. Nevertheless, your prior testimony contained a rather large inconsistency. Please add an explanation for that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
Will this be her final testimony? Moving the body.
Other than walking over the bridge, there's no way to move the body. So I must have gotten confused, I guess. Was the snow still falling or had it stopped? does it really matter that much? Or are you saying that there is a way to cross a burning bridge?
Okay, I think I know what to do.
So it was just a misunderstanding, I see. This is a photo of Dusky Bridge after it burned down from the lightning blast. It was taken on the morning after the incident.
Warum sehen wir das erst jetzt? Naja.
Certainly was burned to a crisp and one of the suspension wires even snapped. It's amazing the whole bridge didn't fall. Clearly it would be impossible to carry a corpse across a bridge in this condition.
Dusky Bridge photo.
Unless I do something to discredit his testimony, it's going to be deemed as the truth. And Maya will be accused of murder. That's right. I'm only going to say it one more time. It is only human to err. And only humans can spot the errors of our ways. The more sense he makes, the less sense he makes. Alright, Mr. White.
Mr. White.
Mr. Wright, please begin your cross-examination.
Ja, ich würde sagen, wir packen direkt mal den Larry aus. Also, den anderen Larry. Beziehungsweise nicht den Larry, sondern das Ding vom Larry. Vom anderen Larry. A dead body flying over a burning bridge. I wouldn't exactly rule out the possibility.
What? You're saying it's possible? Don't make me laugh. The only thing that's possible about your claim is that it's been pulled out of thin air.
I don't know about that. In any case, we have a witness who did see it happen.
Preposterous. Who is it? Who is this witness?
I can't chicken out here. I've gotta keep on the attack and go, go, go. Mr. Lee Stonem's brilliant and highly gifted apprentice, Laurie Stonem.
Brilliant. Gifted
Apprentice? Remember what he said in his testimony. That night he was at the Mountain Shack, Heavenly Hall, and that's why he witnessed the event. I think you've all seen this sketch before. It's an exact drawing of what the witness, of what he witnessed that night.
Are you serious? Today's not April Fool's Day, is it? Mr. Wright, are you seriously claiming that the victim flew through the air? And you're using this pathetic scribble to support your argument?
Uh-oh. Judge looks like he's about to blow a gasket.
Well, Wright, there's nowhere for you to hide now. Or that looking like it was drawn by a 6-year-old. Does the sketch prove anything?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it does, and I'm going to prove it.
Listen, I know your tricks. You're trying to turn this whole thing upside down. If you're so eager to turn this case upside down, why not start with the sketch?
Upside down? Why did Godot say that?
Alright then, let's hear the defense's theory. What exactly is the sketch trying to show?
I don't think old Whiskerface is going to forgive any more mistakes. Alright, Phoenix, look carefully and think it over. The sketch drawn by Laurie Stonem is... Also, Godot meinte ja upside down. Das heißt, wenn wir den Sketch jetzt upside down drehen, dann fliegt die Person plötzlich nicht mehr, sondern sie fällt. Evidence of nothing. Ach, das will uns ja nicht weiterhelfen. A complete contradiction. Oder exactly what happened. Ich würde sagen, exactly what happened. Aber Larry zeichnet ja nicht einfach irgendwas, was nicht passiert ist. Er ist überzeugt von seiner Zeichnung. Drück mal das. Of course, the victim was... Phoenix. No, that's not what I meant. Of course the victim was flying through the air. You can see it right there in the sketch. Whoosh!
You know, you're starting to remind me of yesterday's witness.
Du warst doch gar nicht da. Du kennst ihn doch gar nicht. Du bist doch der Brasser. That's the last thing I wanted to hear.
You have any evidence that the victim flew through the air? Just so you know, we haven't discovered a giant human catapult at the inner temple yet.
I wish they had.
And if you're a lousy lawyer, at least you're 1 cup's worth of entertainment. I think we should skip the penalty this time.
Oh, dankeschön. I just know it. There must be a way to use the sketch to show the truth about what happened. Okay. Achso, ups. Jetzt muss ich das nochmal machen. Wait. Genau. Also wir machen nochmal den Sketch. Und skippen die Scheiße aus dem Dialog raus. Okay. Dann ist es eine complete contradiction halt. Whatever. Something is obviously funny about this sketch.
I'm not an art critic, but even I can see that.
No, that's not what I mean, Your Honor. Maurice Stoneham stated it over and over, that the sketch was exactly as he saw it. However, if we're to believe his testimony, then the sketch contradicts reality as we know it.
It contradicts reality?
This is getting interesting. Looks like you're back to that finger-pointing thing again. Okay, Wright, what exactly contradicts the reality as we know it?
Die Person, weil man nicht fliegen kann? I guess. This flying figure naturally. After all, people haven't learned to fly yet, or did I miss something?
Mr. Wright, that answer just now. It was lethal.
Okay.
Mr. Wright, after dragging us all the way to this point, that answer was embarrassing. It was so embarrassing, I'm actually blushing.
Blushing only suits women, not the elderly. Anyway, what now? Rethink things, point to something else. Also ja, wir sollen es ja upside down drehen, ja? Okay. Ja, wie gesagt, er fällt halt. Die Person. Die fällt halt. Was soll ich denn sonst hier drücken? Oder... Moment. Wo war das? Hier, wir haben jetzt ein neues Foto bekommen. Ja, okay. Okay, ich glaube, ich weiß was. I know. Point to something else. Your Honor, please give me one more chance. At that spot now. What I really need to do is turn this case upside down. Ja, das wissen wir ja schon. So it's time for me to flip things around and get them straight again in my head.
Do you know what you're saying this time?
Yes, they don't know exactly how we saw it. Ja, jetzt verstehe ich auch Upside Down wegen, wir haben es gerade auf dem Bild gesehen. Er hat ja Nickerchen gemacht. und hat auf dem Boden gelegen und hat somit quasi das kopfüber gesehen quasi. Also, aber was wir drücken müssen, ist, glaube ich, naja, sind, glaube ich, die Kabel, weil die sind unterhalb der Brücke. It's this wire connected to the bridge.
The wire? Huh. Is that the thing that contradicts reality?
It is indeed.
And shows the reality it supposedly conflicts with. Shows something that will point out how the sketch contradicts reality.
Dusky Bridge photo.
That's a photo of Dusky Bridge, correct?
Yes, now compare the sketch and the photo for a minute. In the sketch, the wires appear to be above the guard wires. But on the actual Dusky Bridge,
Jumping Joseph.
the wires are below the guard wires.
What? Order! The sketch is somewhat different than what is depicted in the photo. However, isn't it likely that the artist just saw it wrong?
Perhaps he just drew it wrong.
Anyway, it sounds like you're just wrong.
With someone like Laurice, I admit a mistake is a definite possibility.
Hey, I heard that.
But that begs the question. Why did he make a mistake? What was the reason?
Are you saying you know the answer to that?
Listen, think back, alright? Remember what Laurice was doing when he witnessed this event. He was at Heavenly Hall waiting for a lover that was never going to come. Sad. He waited and waited, and finally he laid down.
Badoom. But then, lightning shoots from the sky and sets the bridge aflame.
No wonder what sort of position Laurice must have been at the time. He was laying on his back, which is why he remembered the scene the way he did.
He was laying on his back. I can't see how it relates.
But it does, Your Honor. That is the reason why the wires in the sketch go up instead of down.
Ah! No way.
Laurice Stoneham witnessed the event while he was lying on his back, face up. In other words, the scene that he saw was actually upside down.
So then, the sketch should actually...
I think you finally get it, Your Honor. The correct way to view Laurice Stoneham's sketch is like this. This is how it should actually look. The victim's body wasn't flying above the bridge. It was actually swinging below. Swinging. That's right, just like a pendulum.
Ridiculous. Order! Of all the things to say, a pendulum.
The bridge was burning to a crisp, there was no way to get across it. But if the body had been found at the inner temple, it would have caused problems. This is where the criminal decided to take a gamble. They used the burning bridge to get the body across the other side. And the pendulum was the only way to get it done.
Let's think about this for a minute, shall we? Dusky Bridge is about 20 yards long, which means it's about that far from the inner temple to the opposite cliff.
Yes, that sounds right.
In order to cover that distance with a pendulum, you need a rope at least 10 yards long. To get a rope that long, you have to plan ahead.
The lightning strike that night can only have been an accident, so it doesn't make sense that the culprit would have prepared the rope beforehand. So then, they didn't have to get the rope ready. The rope was already right in front of them.
What?
I'm saying that it was just a matter of using what was already there.
In that case, Mr. Wright, please give us an explanation to support your theory. What makes you think the criminal had the rope on hand to create a pendulum?
Das lose Kabel.
And the meaning of this is...
If you want to know where the rope came from, it's hanging right there in front of your glorious beard.
Ah! This is one of the wires from the bridge.
When the lightning struck the bridge and set it on fire, one of the suspension wires came loose from its anchor. The criminal didn't have any time to waste, so they tied the wire around Lee Stoneham's body. Und das hat die Brücke ausgehalten? Holy shit. Ja, und Physik war hier nicht so ein Thema, ne? Also, dass man an Höhe verliert, wenn man das macht, aber okay. Es geht ja nicht von derselben Höhe zur selben Höhe, aber na gut. Also, theoretisch in einem perfekten Vakuum würde das passieren, ja. Aber der Windwiderstand existiert nun mal. Naja. Because there was simply no other way to move the body. Holy shit! Impressive, Godot.
Mr. Godot.
Still at it.
It seems that Mr. Godot is more focused on his coffee than answering my question. It seems that the odds of a rope being readily available were very high. So I suppose that it's not an impossibility after all. Possible or impossible? That's not the question we need to ask. There's only one question. Did that really happen? That's right. I wonder if you can prove what happened to us. Do you have any actual evidence that the body was swung over like a pendulum?
The body was swung like a pendulum. Aha. Vielleicht das? Body fell 10 feet. Also das supportet zumindest, dass der Body irgendwie halt, ne, aufgeprallt ist nach dem Schwung. Obwohl das meine Contradiction, meine eigene Contradiction nur noch bestärkt. Warum sollte der Body so hoch schwingen? Ja, er sollte ja eher niedriger schwingen. Aber okay. Vielleicht ist das gemeint. Before I present my evidence, let me review what we know so far. According to this photo, one of the wires snapped. Looking at the map, we can see it's the one that was in front of the inner temple.
So then, that was the spot where the criminal...
Yes, precisely. Now let us consider the body's movement by looking at the overhead map again. If the body was pushed from this point here, oder ist dieser spezielle Punkt da besonders hoch vielleicht, das kann sein. Und der andere ist dann irgendwie besonders tief. So ganz zufällig. Ja, okay. Plop. It would drop on the opposite bank at approximately this point.
Did you say drop?
Ja, das ist die andere Frage. Warum droppt es da? Warum schwingt es nicht einfach zurück? So viele Fragen. Aber na gut, das ist ein Videospiel, ne? Logik müssen wir jetzt hier nicht unbedingt diskutieren. Well, they must have failed to catch the body on the other bank.
What makes you think something like that happened?
Because I have evidence that suggests her body dropped some distance.
What kind of evidence?
Take a look at this, the autopsy report. It says here
and her body fell about 10 feet after her death.
Wie auch immer man das feststellen kann, aber okay.
10 feet, huh?
Also, wie man das feststellen kann, dass das nach dem Tod passiert ist. Das ist ein bisschen weird, aber naja.
That's most likely the height difference between the two sides. The body overswung due to forward momentum, but then came loose and fell about 10 feet. And then, as a result of the landing impact, this crystal sphere was knocked loose.
Stimmt, den haben wir im Schnee gefunden.
That's... Yes, this bloodstained amethyst crystal. It's the one that came off of Miss Elise Stoneham's staff. And even more important is the place where this crystal sphere was found.
Indeed, I believe it's already marked on this overhead map. Crystals found... Ah!
Precisely, Your Honor. In the very spot where the pendulum would arrive if given the right amount of speed.
This explains your theory quite well, Mr. Wright. You have provided us with a way the body could have been moved at night.
Was war das für ein Slap? Okay.
An impressive deduction, Mr. Wright. Most impressive.
Ach.
Mr. Wright! I thought this cold coffee might help you cool down. What is the meaning of this, Mr. Godot? It was a dark and bitter guess that you made, Wright. But you forgot about one thing. Oh, what would that be? The aroma.
Huh?
Coffee's most reliable accomplice is its deep and profound aroma.
Most of the court doesn't speak Coffinese. Can you elaborate a bit more?
The criminal had sent the body to the other side, like you say. Naturally, there must have been an accomplice lying in wait to catch it. An accomplice? Criminal wasn't able to cross Dusky Bridge, so who collected the body? What do you have to say about that, Wright? Mr. Godot is correct. This can't be the work of a single person. Well, Mr. Wright, you know what you must do.
Yes, Your Honor. Body couldn't have made it to Asakura Temple without an accomplice.
Ja, wir wissen schon, wer der Accomplice ist.
Very well then, if you please, Mr. Wright. Was the person that received the body on Asakura Temple side?
Wait. Moment. Also, wir wissen, die Accomplice ist wahrscheinlich Dahlia Hawthorne. Die Zwillingsschwester. Aber, was mich jetzt gerade ein bisschen verwirrt, ist die Frage, who was the person that received the body on the Hasakura Temple side? Weil ich bin mir nicht sicher, ob Dahlia auf der Hasakura Temple Side war. Ich bin mir ziemlich sicher, auf der Hasakura Temple Seite ist Iris. Weil sie uns ja nicht belogen hatte. Das heißt, wenn ich jetzt die Frage direkt beantworte, würde ich eigentlich gerne sie drücken. Aber ich glaube, im größeren Kontext muss ich wahrscheinlich einfach die Komplizin. Ich präsente mal die. Wobei, es würde nämlich auch erklären, wenn wir sie drücken, würde es auch erklären, warum sie sich bei all den Sachen nicht so sicher war, weil sie ja nicht da war. Ne, weil Dahlia auf der Mörderseite war. Ne? Aber ich drücke jetzt mal sie. Ich glaube, sie wollen die Komplizin. Okay, scheinbar nicht. Also scheinbar bin ich tatsächlich ein Big Brain. Also, sieht zumindest so aus.
Well, Mr. Godot, I'm sure you have something to say. That aroma just now smelled of sulfur. Perhaps it was your chances of winning rotting away.
Okay. When they altered it using the Shichishito, there's only one person it can be. Okay, ich press Iris. Ich gehe mit meiner Theorie. Yes. Can only be you, Sister Iris.
Huh? Ah, but I
don't see why you're so surprised. The only way to transport a body from Dusky Bridge is by snowmobile. And you have the key. But with her bad back, this bikini could never pick up a body like that. You're the only one that could have managed it.
Right, were you even listening to the witness's testimony? On the night of the crime, this little cutie pie was on clean-up duty in the temple garden after the mother-daughter bloodbath.
I haven't forgotten, but have you, Mr. Godot? This witness was also seen at Hasakura Temple, desecrating the corpse of the victim.
Strange indeed. It's almost as if, on that night, the defender was in 2 different places at the same time.
Sister Iris, let me ask you something. Why didn't you mention it when you first gave your testimony?
Mention what?
The pendulum, of course. Using that sketch drawn by an eyewitness, I have established how the body was moved using the burnout bridge. Which means it's now a fact that this occurred. Something you should have already known.
No, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about the pendulum.
But the body couldn't have been passed along to the other side without your help. So you should have known about it. In fact, it'd be impossible for you to be clueless about this whole thing. Unless you're not really Iris to begin with. Moment.
What? How can you say that, Mr. Wright?
What kind of nonsense is this? You're saying this witness isn't Iris of Hasakura Temple? Are you serious, Wright? You mean this woman is?
There's no one besides Iris that could have received the corpse that night. Now I get it. Now I know why I've been sick to my stomach this whole trial. Why her whole demeanor changed so suddenly from yesterday. And why she's trying to pin this murder on Maya. Ach so, das ist gar nicht Iris. The woman that's standing there at the witness stand. Her real name is... I never thought I'd have to utter your name again, let alone see you. It's been a long time, Dahlia Hawthorne.
Hawthorne?
Sister Iris had a twin sister. And you're looking at her, Miss Dahlia Hawthorne.
That name rings some bells. Distant bells, but bells nonetheless. It's just your imagination, Gramps. This file contains all the relevant data about Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh yes, I remember now. That case 5 years ago.
Yeah, my name is Dahlia Hawthorne. I just want to say it's an honor for me to be your present. Oh, yeah, the honor is all mine. Hi, I'm Payne.
Oh, the honor's all mine. But, according to this, Dahlia Hawthorne is already dead. It says her execution was carried out last month. So what? life has no meaning in this courtroom. What? Order, order, order!
Oh, wait a moment. How can you... My sister, she's already dead. What kind of...
You of all people should already understand, after all. The blood of the master of the current channeling technique flows within that body.
The current channeling technique? Now, where have I heard that?
That's right, you're not Dahlia Hawthorne herself. You're the spirit of Dahlia, currently inhabiting the body of a spirit medium. Aber ich dachte, Iris hat keine Spirit-Fähigkeiten. Oder? Hat sie das nicht gesagt? Ganz am Anfang?
What an exciting story. Exciting, but quite impossible. You're asking us to buy that Dahlia Hawthorne just happened to be channeled by someone on the very night of the murder to a temple where her twin sister Iris was.
Well, if you're going to put things that way, then yes.
We're supposed to believe a coincidence like that just happened?
Naturally, it was no coincidence. The whole thing was part of a plan from the very beginning. Oh, it's Pearly! Nee, Pearly war ja da. Die war ja mit uns gerade eben. It's all written right here in these instructions.
What's that?
These instructions were written by your mother, Morgan Fay. And part of the plan called for Dahlia Hawthorne to be channeled that night. There were 2 irises at Hazakura Temple.
Two of them?
Even the time of the channeling was planned out. As soon as you hear the lights out bell, in other words 10 PM. However, Iris was seen before dinner time.
That means the Iris that was at dinner was the real Iris.
And the Iris who gave me this hood in the main hall was also the real Iris. Meaning that the Iris Sister Bikini saw at the inner temple was someone else dressed as her, namely one Dahlia Hawthorne.
You even know what you're saying, Wright? Is how channeling the spirit of Dahlia Hawthorne business? Yes, it's true that you found plans that talk about it. However, there's one thing that's perfectly clear. The witness currently standing in the witness stand is the real Iris.
What? Ja, das denke ich eben auch.
Calm down and remember what you know about the night of the crime.
Ich bin immer noch fest überzeugt, das ist die Real Iris, weil eben sie hat uns nicht angelogen. Sie war auf der Hazakura-Seite.
After meeting Sister Bikini, the Dahlia Hawthorne that had been channeled would have been stranded at the inner temple due to the lightning strike.
Whee!
It was later that the body was moved by a pendulum.
That's right.
Naturally, that would mean that the Iris that received the body was the real Iris. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
After being notified of what happened, the police came to Hazakura Temple's main hall. There they found Iris in her room and arrested her. And ever since, she's been under police supervision at the detention center.
Yes, I suppose. Can't deny any of that.
Whew. Thank goodness. It looks like he's finally convinced.
Something still seems off. Way off. I'm still not convinced that the Iris here is the same one from the other night.
Huh. I suppose you're about to say something really ridiculous? Like the real Iris and the spirit of Dahlia somehow switched places? Switched places? To be perfectly honest, there's still quite a few things I don't understand, but I do know that unless we confirm the witness's identity, we can't continue with this trial.
Iris doesn't have the spiritual power needed to channel Dahlia, genau. Which means they must have switched places somewhere. Huh. Okay. Ja, I think I see it. Sie könnten getauscht haben. Also Iris war tatsächlich die ganze Zeit auf der Hasakura-Seite, ja. Aber irgendwann haben sie die Position getauscht. Und logischerweise geht das nur, wenn die Brücke wieder stabil ist. Das heißt, nachdem Gumshoe die Brücke repariert hat. Und es gab ein Ereignis, wo etwas Spezielles passiert ist. Aber dazu kommen wir jetzt gleich.
Well, Mr. Wright, since the time she was arrested at Hasakura Temple, have there been any chances for Iris to switch places with Dahlia Hawthorne?
There was one. Your Honor, I think there might have been one chance.
Oh, explain yourself.
Yesterday, for a few minutes, Iris's whereabouts were unknown.
Unknown? What do you mean?
What I mean is, there was a span of time in which Iris was able to move about freely, unsupervised.
Well, who was it? Would you give a murder suspect time to move about freely like that?
I'm sorry, I know you didn't mean to. It wasn't your fault. The person who gave Iris the chance to freely move about was... Edgy.
This is Mr. Edgeworth, isn't it?
Your Honor, there was a fairly large earthquake yesterday, was there not?
An earthquake?
Earthquake! Wow, oh my goodness, in a temple.
Und da ist Iris geflohen und soll scheinbar einfach nur schnell zur Höhle gegangen sein. Aber die haben was anderes gemacht. Ne? Die beiden haben geswitcht. She fled, she escaped. Oh no, oh my goodness. We went to the inner temple right away. And it's true, Iris was already there. Or was she? However, they had already switched places by that point in time. When I arrived at the training hall, I was met by none other than Dahlia Hawthorne.
That's quite enough already, Mr. Wright. Now see here. No judge in his right mind would consider the idea of spirit...
Be quiet. Aha, da ist er doch.
It's been a long time, Mr. Judge.
That voice. Guess I'll have to ask again.
What's your name and occupation?
Upon meeting a beautiful lady, I always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules.
Dahlia Hawthorne, at my current profession, permanently retired.
So you're not going to bother hiding your identity anymore, huh?
Why should I? After all, I'm dead. There's really nothing you can do to punish me.
What is going on here?
Dahlia Hawthorne. I never thought we'd meet again, and I never thought we'd meet like this. But this time, I'll end it. For her and for myself. To be continued. Und somit haben wir Dahlia Hawthorne herauslocken können. Ist nur die Frage, wie jetzt der ganze Plan weitergeführt wird. Und ob jetzt Maya wirklich die Mörderin ist. Ich bin mir nicht sicher, ob jetzt nur noch ein Part kommt oder 2. Es könnte sein, dass noch 2 Parts kommen. Ich könnte es eigentlich nachgucken, ne? Wobei, müsste ich suchen. Nee, es könnte sein, dass es 2 sind oder auch nur einer. Wer weiß. Vielleicht nächste Folge dann die letzte. Mal gucken. Auf jeden Fall, bleibt gespannt für die Auflösung dieser ganzen Ereignisse und bis zum nächsten Mal. Ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen. Macht's gut, Leute. Und tschö.